What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego back with some more boxing. So it looks like sneaky Bob Arum with Top Rank has decided to go heads up with Showtime and Golden Boy Promotions yet again, and he tried to sweeten the deal in the Rigondeaux versus Judah-Agbeko fight. Now that's a fight I really wanted to see. He tried to sweeten it by adding other fights that are interesting. You have the return of James Kirkland, who's fighting Glenn Tapia. That should be a good fight. And Matthew Macklin, who was recently stopped by Gennady Golovkin, who's going up against an undefeated middleweight contender named Lamar Russ. And we'll see who wins. It's kind of like the comeback card because Judah-Agbeko, he fought Abner Mars, and after the rematch with Abner Mars, he virtually disappeared off the face of the fucking planet. Um, so it's going to be his return. James Kirkland, another fighter who just seemingly disappeared. He had the tough fight with Carlos Molina. He was getting his ass whooped. A freak accident happened, and Molina was disqualified, giving Kirkland the win. Then I heard Kirkland had lawsuits against Golden Boy, and he fired Ann Wolf. He just seems like a guy that's not necessarily mentally stable, if you will, and he's returning. So I'm anxious to see how he looks. He was an interesting fighter, an entertaining fighter with power, but like I said, he's been gone and inactive for so long. I really don't know how he's going to look, what the ring rust is going to look like. But the main event, Rigondeaux and Agbeko, is probably the fight I want to see the most. It's the most meaningful fight to me on this fight card because Rigondeaux had a stellar performance against Nonito Donaire, and I want to see how he follows up against a tough test with Joseph King Kong Agbeko, who is a former two-time world champion, and he's a tough customer. He's going to make you earn it, and I want to see how Rigondeaux does, how he looks. I haven't done a prediction yet, but just to forewarn you, my money's with Rigondeaux. He's just a sharpshooter, and I think he'll pass this test with flying colors. Agbeko, again, has been inactive, and it's hard to bet against Rigondeaux after a tremendous performance against the much bigger Nonito Donaire when Donaire was on like a 30 win streak. So, kind of hard to go against that. Aside from that, I want to know what fight you guys plan on watching. Me personally, I'm definitely watching the Showtime fight live. I want to see the Showtime card live, and I'll DVR the Rigondeaux fight. Had this been on another night, then I'd be like, great, great night of boxing. But since they're going heads up, I got to pick one, watch one live, and watch one after the fact, and that will be the Showtime card. To me, it's more exciting. It's happening at the Barclays. Zab Judah is fighting Paulie Malignaggi. The battle of who should retire, the battle for Brooklyn. I really want to see that fight. I want to see how Paulie looks against the athleticism of Zab Judah, the power, the speed, and I want to see how Zab Judah holds together if he gets frustrated with Paulie's quick thinking, his fast feet, his jab, and that kind of thing. And they're both from Brooklyn, and it's an interesting, intriguing fight. On the undercard, you have Devin Alexander versus Sean Porter. Now, I wanted Devin Alexander versus Amir Khan, but Amir Khan thinks he's getting the Mayweather fight, which he might get, and that fight just dissipated. So this is a good matchup. Sean Porter redeemed himself against Julio Diaz, who he had a draw with in their first fight, and he convincingly beat Julio Diaz in the second fight. He had a high work rate. Looks like he has some pop to his punches. Kind of sloppy, but nonetheless, it's interesting because you have Devin Alexander, who's more of a rhythmic thinker, someone who's going to try to outbox you. And he looked good against Lee Purdy, who was a last minute replacement in his last fight since Kell Brook fight. That didn't go on. So I'm anxious to see that fight. And then you have Edislandi Laura versus Austin Trout. I fucking want to see this fight. It's really hard to pick because both fighters are southpaws. Both are smart. Both have defense. Both have offense. Both have shown heart in previous fights. Austin Trout is one fight removed from being undefeated and a title holder. Edislandi Laura is coming off of a tough win over Alfredo Angulo, who definitely made the fight a lot tougher than I anticipated. I thought Edislandi Laura was just going to box circles around Alfredo Angulo, which he basically did, but he did at the cost of getting knocked down twice and hurt in that fight, and he had to pick himself up off the canvas and recuperate and regather himself. But he was really composed when he did that, which is something that I like to see. Some fighters, i.e., Amir Khans, they get hurt, and you know they're hurt. The opponent knows they're hurt, and the audience knows they're hurt because their facial expression, they kind of go into a panic mode, and they don't just really sit down on their punches. They just look panicky. They look like shook. Erislandy Lara didn't do that in the Angulo fight, and he went on to stop Angulo, which was a great fight, by the way. So definitely Showtime has him beat with this fight card. Like I said, nothing against the Rigondeaux-Agbeko card. I definitely am going to watch it. Probably stay up late that night to make sure I watch it. But I have to watch the Showtime live because to me that's more exciting. And they're both happening on December 7th. So let me know which fight card you're most anticipating. Who do you think has been putting on better fights? Top Rank, Golden Boy. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Out of all these fights, what is the fight you want to see the most on December 7th? Do you have HBO? Do you have Showtime? Just drop some comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.